So yesterday we have seen class level variables, and we are talking about class level methods, right? So there is a class level method. To declare a method at the class level, so you are using at the rate. The method defined inside a class with first argument as CLS is called as a class level methods. And class level method So this is a class level methods. So generally you write a class level methods to operate class level variables. You write a class level methods to operate class level variables. So for example, within a class, you have two types of variables and two types of methods. Okay, so object level variables are there. So there is a self dot x equal to none. So self dot y equal to none. Okay, so there is a some print. So there is a print info. Print info is there, which prints the data here. Self dot x and self dot y. So this is which data here? So this is called as object level data. This is object level data. And this object level data or variables are operated using object level methods. So this is object level method. But there is a variable at which level? Class level. There's a variable at which level? Class level. Then how this class level data? So this is class level variable or data. How this class level variables are operated using class level methods. So print data. This is having first argument as what? CLS. So here you can say print CLS dot P. Now CLS is referring to what here? Class. And within a class, there is a variable called P. So you are accessing P variable of which class? A class. So that is what you mean by class level. So it means class level data is operated using class level methods. So it means you are binding your class level data with the class level methods. And you're binding object level data with the object level methods. So class level data, you're binding with class level methods, and object level data, you're binding with object level methods. So operate this data, you use these methods. To operate this data, you use these methods. Because class level, you can access it without creating objects. Class level, you can access it without creating any objects. So, okay. Okay, so for example, so there is a class. Suppose there is a class called products. Product. So every product is having some properties like product ID, product name, and one more is a price. Now self dot product ID equal to product ID. Self dot product name equal to product name. Self dot price equal to what here? Price. So product is having product ID, product name, and one more what you have is a price. So there is a method called print product. So this will print the details of the product. Okay, self dot product ID. Okay, self dot product name. Okay, self dot. So what you are trying to read here? Price. So self dot product ID, self dot product name, and self dot what is that? Price. So this is how you are reading the details of product here. So whenever I create a product, see, I create a product, one equal to product. So I create a product with ID and name of the product, and price of the product, right? So product is my own data type. So product is my own data type. So whenever I create a product, the product is created with all these details. So what will happen? It will create product one by calling the constructor. So this constructor holds product ID, product name, and price. And self is holding the address of current object. Now self dot product ID is product ID. So it will create one object level variable whose value is 101. Product name whose value is mouse. So there is a price whose value is a 200. So that is a product ID, product name, and one more is a price. So you are trying to print the details of the product by saying P1 dot print product. Means you call the method print product, okay, which print the details of which product? Product one. So it means this is the object level data is operated using which method? Object level method. So this is having self, and that self is holding the address of current object. So there is a data at class level. Okay, product. So manufacturer name. So who's manufacturing these products? So manufacturer name is a global to all the products. So manufacturer name is some ABC company. So this is what your manufacturer name. So I try to print even manufacturer name. So format. Okay, format. So I can print this by saying is a class level. So I can access with class name, product dot manufacturer name, product dot what is it? Manufacturer name. Okay. So it is a class level. So I access class level with what name? Class name. So I can make this as a private. If I make it as a private, I can use only within the class. I can use only within the class. Okay, I cannot use outside. So print product. If I say print product, so what will happen is it will try to print the details of product. So once you run this, now 101 mouse and 200 some ABC company. I try to create another product by saying product 102 some keyboard. Okay, some 2000 P2 dot print product. So this is also now ABC company, and this is okay. Yes. Now everyone is listening. You just check your side. Surinder, check your side. Okay, so now suppose I want to know, I want to change the product manufacturer name. I want to change. Sometimes I may change the manufacturer name. If I change the manufacturer name, that changes will be applicable to what all the products. Why? Because manufacturer name is what here global. It is a common to all the objects. If I want to change because I cannot change, I cannot access this manufacturer name outside the product. Why? Because manufacturer name is what here private. Manufacturer name is what here private. I cannot access outside the product. So for that, I write here class level method. Okay, set manufacturer name. So it will receive manufacturer name. Now CLS dot manufacturer name equal to manufacturer name. Okay, so CLS is referring to which one here? Class. If I want to change the manufacturer name, what will I do? I'll say product dot. So class level method is bind with what name? Class name. So product dot set manufacturer name. So I'll change to XYZ company. I change to XYZ company. So what will happen in this case? It will call set manufacturer name and this receive manufacturer name and this hold address of which one? Product. CLS is referring to the product, and from that it will access which one? Manufacturer name. So after changing it, I'll try to print the details of product by saying P1 dot print product, P2 dot P1 dot print product, P2 dot print product. You can see after modifying it, now this product ID, This is XYZ company 102 and this is XYZ company. Because once you change at class level, the same changes are applicable to what? Object level. Because this property is a common for all the this property is a common for all the objects. So if you want to declare a property which is common for all the objects, then declare that variable at which level? Class level. For this class level, data you operate using which method? Class level method. If you want to change this or if you want to manipulate this class level data, you are manipulating this class level data by writing which methods? Class level methods. Okay. Suppose, for example, so for example, there is a class. Okay, for example, there is a class called student. So there is one class. What is the name of this class? Is a student. What is the name of the class? Is student. So there is a student class is there. So whenever I create a student, suppose whenever I create a student, the student is created with some roll number and student is created with some name. Okay. So I want to know how many student objects are created. I want to know how many student objects are created. Okay, whenever I create a student, you should count it. Whenever I create a student, you should count how many objects of the student is created. So for that, I declare one variable. So this variable is private and the count is what? 0. So whenever I create object, what will happen? Constructor is called. So within the constructor, I'm saying student dot count equal to count plus 1. So it increment with 1. And I write a class method to know how many objects are created. So I just write here get count. So this will return how many objects of that student class is created. So this is which method? Class level method. So return. What you are returning it here? CLS. You can write CLS dot count, or you can write student dot count. Anything you can take. So what is the object created here? Student. So I want to know how many objects of students are created. Are you created any objects here? No. So can I get the count? Some print student dot get count. So I called this method directly with what name? Class name. So for this, you don't require to create objects. So get count is called This method holds the address of which one? Class. So what is the class here? Student. CLS is nothing but student. And within this, there is a variable called count. And what is the value of count here? What is the value of count here? 0. So because there is no objects created. There is no objects of student is created. So once you run this, now you can see the count is what now? 0. The count is a 0. So whenever I create object, right? Student 1 equal to student. So I created student object here. So student object is created by calling which one here? Constructor. So what will happen? So whenever student object is created, it's created with how many properties? 2 properties, that is roll number and name. Then this is a count. Count is which variable? Class level. Count is which variable here? Class level. Initially count is what? 0. And this becomes what? 1. Because I created one student object called student. So there is a one student object created called student 1. So what will happen if I create another object student 2 equal to student? So what will happen in this case? It will create another student object. So what is the student object here? Student 2. So what will happen on creation of object? It will call the constructor. So create 2 properties and student.count. So it is count becomes what now? 2. So this variable is global to how many objects here? 2 objects. Okay, this variable is global to how many objects here? 2 objects. So with this you can restrict creation of objects. So what you can do is, so print student dot get count. So how many objects are created here? 2 objects. How many students I created here? 2 students. But whenever I create a student, what I did, I increment the value of the count. But count is which variable? Class level variable. Count is which variable here? Class level variable. So class level variables, memory is allocated. So this example is counting number of objects of given class or given the class, number of objects of a class. So how many objects are created of a given class? So for that you declare one global variable and you do the operations. Not only that, class level method also use so you cannot write multiple constructors within the class. So this is class level methods also useful for creating objects and returning it. For example, there is a person. So what person is having is, person is having name as well as what? Age. So person is having 2 properties. So the first property is a name And second property is what here? Age. So self dot name equal to name. Self dot age equal to age. So to print this person information, so I just write one function called print info. So where I'm saying self dot, okay, where I'm saying self dot, okay, name of the person and self dot age of the person. So there is a name. So I create a person one. So P1 dot print info. So this will print whose details? Person details. Okay. So I create a person by sending name, name of the person and age of the person. So what is the name of the person here? Naresh. What is the age of the person here? 50. So name is a narration, age is what here? 50. So we are writing self dot name equal to name, self dot age equal to what here? Age. So you are trying to get the name of the person, you are trying to get the age of the person. You are trying to get the name of the person and you are trying to get what? Age. Okay, suppose I don't know age of the person. I know only date of birth. Okay, I don't know the name of the age of the person, but I know only date of birth year. I know only date of birth year, but I don't know the age. I don't know the age. I know only date of birth year. But this constructor receive what year? Name and age. Okay, this constructor receive what year? Name and age. I cannot write multiple constructors. If I write another constructor, this constructor will be hidden. So I cannot write multiple constructors here. Then how can I do that? So for that, I write one method. So there is a class level method. So what is the name of the method is create person. But this method will create a person by receiving name, by receiving name, comma, year. So date of birth year. And this will receive name and year and calculate the age. So calculate age. Now current year minus date of birth year. So then you'll get the age. Current year minus date of birth year, you'll get the age. Then create a person. Okay, create a person object by sending the name and age and return person object. Okay, so here I calculated the age and created which object here? Person object by sending the name and age and then return person. So person 2 equal to person dot. So this is which method? Class level method. So I'm saying here create person by sending the name of the person and age of the person and P2 dot print info. P2 dot print info. Oh, so not this one. Create a person by sending age, year. So year is some 2000 is a year. Okay. So this is the name of the person and this is what here age of the person. Okay. Now this is year. Means I called which method here? Create person by sending name and year. So this will calculate the age and create which object? Person object with the name and age and return that. Create a person with a name and age and return that. So it means how many ways I created object by using a constructor which receive the name and age. I try to create it by using a method. But this method is which method? Class level. By receiving name and what is that? Year. This will calculate the age and return the person. This will calculate the age and return what year? Person. So this will be situations where class level methods are used. This is a situation where class level methods are used. This is one situation where class level methods are used. So to perform which operations? Class level operations. To perform class level operations, you are using class level methods. But inside the class, you can also write. So the other method called which one? Static method. So there is an object level method. So this is a class which contain data, which is having data. So if you take this is called as object level data. Object level variables bind with object level methods. So class level variables bind with which methods? Class level methods. So object level variables bind with object level variables bind with object level methods. Class level variables bind with class level method. But inside a class, you can also write one more method, which is called as what here? Static method. Now this method is not, this method is global. So this method either access object level data. This method either access which one? Class level data. It is a method which performs some global operations. It is a method which performs some global. You want to write some individual method. Inside a class, you want to write an individual method that should perform individual operation. You want to write individual method that should perform what here? Individual operation. Individual method that should perform individual operation. Then you write static method. Static methods, generally static methods are global methods which performs individual operations. Static methods are global methods which performs individual operations. It doesn't perform any operation on class level data, or it doesn't perform any operation on which one? Object level data. Okay, so this method is bind with class name, and it can be called without creating any object. It can be called without creating any object. So you can call this. So this method bind with the class name, and you can call this without creating any object. You can call this without creating any objects. So this method is bind with class name, and it can be called without creating any object. So what is the syntax of writing the static method? So static method, you declare. Now this method doesn't have any, see this method doesn't have any implicit first argument. There's no implicit first argument. Like class level method is having first argument as a CLS. Object level method is having first argument as a self. But static method doesn't have any first argument because it does not access any data of a class. It doesn't access the data of what objects, right? So it is not having any implicit first argument. It is not having any implicit first argument. Now this method doesn't have implicit first argument. So how you are writing this method? So to declare the method as a static, you are using at the rate static method decorator and definition. So method name. So just arguments. So there is no self, there is no class, nothing. So because these are individual methods, there is a statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. So you have a number of statements. Now definition, method name, and you can have multiple arguments like statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. So it is like this. For example, if it is a class C is it, if I'm writing M1 with the first argument as a self, so this is called which method? Object level method. So at the rate class method. So I'm writing M2 with the first argument as what? CLS. So this is class level method. So this can access class level data and this can access object level data. But here static method is there. But this is not having any first argument. So it means this method cannot access any object level data. This method cannot access which data? Class level, because this is not having implicit argument. So it is a global method. So if you want to write individual method, so I can call a.m2. I can call a.m3. So static method you can call with the class name. So static method you can call with what name? Class name. You can see class level method, and one more is what? Static method. But object level method you cannot call with what? Class name. You need to create what? Objects. You have to create object of which class? A class. And then you can call this method. Okay. So this is which method? Object level method. So it is bind. Okay, it is bind with. Class level method is bind with class. Static method also bind with the class, but it doesn't have any reference of the class. Suppose M2 is there. It's having reference of class. So it can able to access which data? Class level data. But you are just calling M3 method, but doesn't have any reference. So anything you want it, you have to send it explicitly. Anything you want to send it, you have to send explicitly, right? So generally, it is used to write individual operations. It is used to write individual operations. Individual operations. It is used to write individual operations. So class level method, static method, object level method. To write individual operations. What is this? What is the meaning of individual here? Is, for example, I want to develop mathematical class, math class. So I want to develop a math class which contain mathematical operations. I want to develop a math class which is having mathematical operations. So there is an operation called power. So which will receive the number in P and return num to the power of P. So there is a method. See, these are individual. This is not accessing any class, or this is not accessing any object level data. Is even, which receive number, and if number mod 2 is equal to 0, I'm saying returning true. Otherwise, I'm saying return false. Okay, find. Okay, suppose all mathematical operations. So factorial, receive the number. So f equal to 1 for I in range of 1 comma number plus 1, and f equal to f into I. So return factorial. Now mathematical, math is a class. Math is a class, and this class is providing all mathematical operations. This class is providing all mathematical operations. This class is providing all mathematical operations, like, so that is what you are trying to do it. So it is trying to perform all mathematical operations. Now, what is the name of the class here? Math. Is having a method called power. It is having a method called is even. Is having a method called what? Factorial. Okay. So there is a function called which one here? Main. I can call. Suppose I want to find the square root of an power of a number. So I can simply call math dot. I can simply call math dot power some 2 to the power of 3. I want to find out whether number is even or not. So is even. Okay, I send 9. So result 3 equal to math dot is even. I send a value called 4. Result 4 equal to math dot. I want to know factorial. So all these are individual functions. This is not belongs to any class or any objects. So result 1, result 2, result 3, and result 4. So result 1, result 2, result 3, result 4. So once you run this, now you can see 8 is a power of a number and it's a false, and this is true, and this is 24. But if it is object level, right? See, if you see these examples, okay, if you see this examples like product. So product is having this properties and you are printing this. So this object level data is operated using object level methods. And class level data is operated using class level methods. But in this example, so this is which methods? All these are which methods here? Static methods. All these are which methods here? Static method. So these methods bind with the class. But is it this methods is accessing any data of a class or object? No, because these are individual operations. Because these are individual operations and it perform individual things. It doesn't access any data of any class. It doesn't access any data of any class. It doesn't access any data of any objects. Such cases, you go for which methods? You go for which methods? Static methods. Such cases, you go for which methods? Static methods. Okay, now these are 3 types of methods and 3 types of methods: object level method, class level method, and static method. How many types of variables? 2 types of variables: object level variables and class level variables. Now, object oriented application, you never develop by writing everything inside one class. Okay, you try to divide that into number of classes. So what I'm talking about is class reusability. So let us see what is a class reusability is. What is a class reusability? So here, object-oriented application. Here, object-oriented application is a collection of classes. You never write object-oriented application by including everything inside one class. You never develop object-oriented application by including everything inside what? One class. You try to divide into number of classes. Okay, you try to develop class reusability. So object-oriented application is not one class. Object-oriented application is what here? Collection of classes. Collection of classes. The content of one class can be used inside another class in different ways. One is using composition, and second one is using aggregation, and third one is using inheritance. Okay, so you never develop object-oriented application by writing everything inside one class. You try to divide your application related functionality and data into number of classes. For example, you are developing a project for a school, right? School or college or something. So where you try to develop different classes, like you'll try to take a student class. A student class contain the data and functions of student. Okay, there is a teachers class contain the data and information about which one teachers. So there is a marks class. Okay, there is a marks class. So which contain the data and functions of which one marks. So it means I try to divide my application into how many classes? Number of classes. Because you don't write everything inside one class, right? Teacher's information you don't put in student. Okay, marks information because teacher will not have any marks. Okay, so attendance, like that. You divide into a number of classes. Then when you required, you'll try to use the content of one class inside what another class. Suppose teacher want to take attendance, then he may use the details of what student. Okay, teacher may use the details of student as well as what marks to find the result. So it means you are trying to divide. Now this is having student related data and operations. This is having teacher related data and operations. This is having marks related data and operations. So when you require, you use the content of one class inside another class. But how many ways you can use the content of one class inside another class? 3 ways are there. Now this relation is called as a relation, and this relation is called user relation, and this relation is called what? Is a relation. So composition is a has a relation, aggregation is a user relation. Okay, has a relation, is a relation. Okay, user relation. Now these are the different ways you are trying to use it. So object-oriented application is a collection of classes. The content of one class can be used inside another class in different ways. That is composition, aggregation, and one more is what? Inheritance. So what is this composition is? Has a relation is always between unrelated classes. Unrelated means one class doesn't share the properties and behavior with what? Another class. For example, if we take, so composition means dividing and combining. You are dividing it and then you are combining it. Okay, whenever you develop any application, you divide and then you combine it. Dividing is called cohesion. Combining is called what? Composing. Okay. So one component is composed with so many components. For example, mobile. Mobile is having so many parts. Mobile is having so many parts like SIM, battery. All these are different parts of which one? Mobile. Yes or no? So it is composed with so many objects. One object is composed with so many objects. For example, there is a class called which one? Car. Car is one class and there is another class called which one? Engine. It means you are not adding the functionality of engine inside a car. So functionality of engine is separated and put inside another class called which one? Engine. The functions of engine are not there in the car. Functions of engine is separated from the car and put inside another class called what? Engine. So if any changes to be done in the car, you do changes in the car without doing any changes in what? Engine. So if you want to do any changes in engine, you do changes in engine without doing any changes in what? Car. So maintaining your application becomes what? Easy. Maintaining your application becomes what here? Easy. Okay. So that composition, aggregation, and one more is what here? Inheritance. So what is the composition here? So this relation is called Hazer relation. So it is a process of creating an object of one class inside which class here? Another class. It is a process of creating an object of one class inside another class. That you are saying it as what? Composition. Is a process of creating an object of one class inside another class, or creating a reference of one class inside another class, or object of one class inside another class. So has a relationship, is between unrelated classes. Has a relationship is between unrelated classes. Means one class doesn't share the properties with another class. It means different types, not similar types, different types. That is called as unrelated. So the association between classes in inheritance, classes in composition can be one to one, so one to many, one to one, one to many, many to one, and many to many. So the association between classes in composition can be one to one, one to many, many to one, and many to many, many to one, and many to many. Right? These are different. So one to one, one to many, many to one. So one more is what here? Many to many. Means one car has how many engines? One engine. So here, this can be called as a container. Car is a container, and engine is what here? Contained. So your container and contained relations. Which one is a container? Car is a container. What it contain? Engine. So engine is having a start. Engine is having a start. So I'll just write here engine start. So engine is having a method called stop. So here I'm writing engine. What is that? Stop. So engine is having a start as well as what? Stop. So when you're talking about car, right? So car want to use the functionality of what? Engine. Then within car, I'm creating object of which type here? Engine. So car has what here? Engine. So this is object level variable E. E is which type? Is having which type here? Engine type. When I start the car start. When I start the car, When I start the car, what will happen? I should start the engine, right? Self dot engine dot start. So car has an engine, right? You are calling start method of what? Engine. When I stop the car by saying car stop, when I say car stop, then self dot e dot, what is that? Another one, stop. So it will stop. Which one here? Car. Engine stop. So but car is calling the stop method of which one? Engine. Because E is holding which object? Engine object. So when I say E, it is referring to which object? Engine object, and call which method? Start. When I say E dot stop, it will refer to engine and call which method? Stop. So if any changes are there in engine, you do changes in what? Engine, without doing any changes in car. If any changes in car, you do changes in car without doing any changes in engine. So maintaining your application becomes what? Easy. So you have to create a reference of one object inside another object. So creating object of one class inside another class is called as a composition. Creating object of one class inside what here? Another class. So that you can call it as what? Composition, right? Just see here. So first I'm creating engine, and this is the object level method. Then I write a method called stop. So this is also which method? Object level method. So there is a class car. Car has what here? Engine. Then car start. So when I start the car, self dot e dot start. Let's start the engine. Stop. Self dot e dot stop. So I create a car object, car one equal to car, and car one dot car start, car one dot car start, car one dot car stop. Car one dot car start, car one dot car stop. So once you run this, you can see engine start and engine stop. So there is an engine start and there is an engine stop, right? So this is how you are trying to do it. So whenever I say car start, it will call the start method of car, and this is E. E is holding which type? Engine. Then call the start method of which one? Engine. When I say car stop, this will call stop method of what? E. E is nothing but what here? Engine. Okay. So this is delegation, right? Delegating means rather than writing the functionality within the same function, you are trying to delegate to what? Another type. Okay. So this is dividing it, dividing and then reusing it, dividing and reusing. Now here the relay association between the car and engine is what? 1 to 1. So one car is having how many engines here? Only one car is having how many engines here? Only one engine. One car has how many engines here? Only one engine. One car has how many engines here? Only one engine. That is called 1 to 1. So that association is what here? 1 to 1. One car has how many engines here? Only one engine. Okay, so there are different associations are there. One is 1 to 1 Second one is one to many, and many to one, and many to many. One car object is having only one car, one engine. That is one to one. One mobile is having two SIMs. That is one to many. One mobile can use multiple SIMs. Okay, different types of SIMs. So that can be one to many, right? One to many means you try to create many objects of same type within the class. So that you can call it as one to, so that you can call it as one to many. Okay, right? So we'll see this composition in detail, but tomorrow we'll see it, right? So today we'll stop it here and tomorrow we'll continue with composition. After composition, we'll see aggregation and we'll move to what? Inheritance, right? So we'll stop it here and tomorrow we'll continue this. Okay.